the /return command. Now, what is this command? And although there are some tutorials out there, this is more of a beginner friendly one, because I see a lot of tutorials, these really advanced stuff, and well, it doesn't need to be this advanced. So I'll show you what is the simplest application of /return. Now, first of all, if you go ahead and type /return in your thing, you'll see /return fail, /return run. Now, you might be confused, because if you click /return fail and you click enter, nothing happens. And if you click /return run, you'll see all of the commands you can get. And, well, you might be thinking, well, what is this command actually used for? Now, this command, if you just go into a Minecraft world and type in /return, it is not going to be useful. It is, however, useful when you're dealing with data packs. There are two main uses of /return, and I'm going to be going over both of them today. Now, let me go ahead and show you what the uses are. So this is the first use of /return. So it says here execute at A. If you don't know what /execute is, it is a really helpful command and also pretty complicated, so I suggest you looking up a tutorial of that. But basically, this is executing a command at everyone, and if the block that is underneath the player is a gold block, it will return 1. It will return 1, okay? Let's just go ahead. And we're checking the same thing, except if it's an emerald block, and it would return 2. And let's just say hi. So let's try to run this test return function. So if I step on this gold block, function test return, it returns 1. And as you can see here, function return test return returned 1. That's a lot of returns in one sentence. But basically, this is my namespace, so it's my, the custom thing. So it's return, and then the function name is called test return. So that's why there's a bunch of it's not this complicated. So it returns 1 because it's a gold block, so it returns 1. Now, if I step on this emerald block, oops, that's for another thing. If it's a emerald block, it returns 2. It does what it's supposed to do. Now, you might be wondering, well, what about this? It says say hi, but if you go back, it doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't say hi. Now, that is where the second use of this command comes into play. This command, this return, actually stops the function prematurely. So if the code, if Minecraft sees return and it is successful, if all of the conditions are met, it first of all, it kind of returns. So you can actually put a command after this. For example, you say I'm standing on emerald block, or you could say say I'm standing on a gold block. Oh, you're supposed to put a run here. That's why. So it's because return run itself is a command, so you need to do that. Okay. Okay. So if I do such for that, see, I'm standing on emerald block, and if you go here, I'm standing on gold block. So you need to put return run, because return itself is a command, and then the other command you want to execute once this return thing gets passed. And it works. Now, another function of /return is it stops the function. Now, you won't see it here besides of this /say hi, because I mean, you can't be both standing on gold block and emerald block at the same time. However, if you take a look at this more advanced function, you can actually see it into play. Now let's break this through. So basically, this is making use of scoreboards. So if the score, this fake player test var means variable for those who don't know much about coding. Basically, in Minecraft, you can assign fake players certain scoreboard values, which is what a lot of map makers do if you want to make fancy effects like timers and all that, but I won't get into those. So basically, if this fake player has a test var value of 1, then tell raw 1, and then return means it stops the function, and it sets the variable to 2. And if that doesn't work, if it's 2, it's tell raw 2, and it sets it to 1. So basically, if you are able to visualize is what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to alternate between 1, 2, 1, 2, and you might be thinking, well, what's the practical application? Now, one of the things that I was actually using this for is to alternate between two sprites, because I was actually coding something and I had to like show a title which had 2 frames, but because in Minecraft there's no way to assign to like animation to Unicode. Okay, it's something complex, which is kind of stupid, but basically this is more useful than you may think. So enough yapping, let's go over here. So this is its function, test return 2. It says it tell raws 2, meaning that this fake player has 2, and then it returned 1 because when you return a command and you run a command, the value that it returns is the output of this command. So in this case, it's setting the variable to 1. So because it's setting the variable to 1, it's also 1. So if I do this again, it returns 1 because the value is 1, and it returned 2 because it set the variable to 2. So as you can see, it keeps on going. Now you might be thinking, well, won't this work without the return command? No. If we remove the return command, what you'll see is that, well, you're gonna be stuck forever. So if I do /reload, and if I clear the chat, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, it breaks. So this return command allows you to, once you got the result that you want from the function, you can just stop it and not let it run anymore, because that might allow it to do that. Because the reason why this error or this funny error happened is because if it sets it to 1, so it's 1, it tell raws it, but then it sets it to 2. Okay, so it sets it to 2. Then the next code is, if it's 2, then tell raw 2. So you've already set it to 2, so now it fits this condition because it is 2. And it will set it to 1. And then the next time you run this function, it is 1, so it's going to say 1. And then it's going to be 1, so it's going to be set it to 2. And you can see how this, especially if you're running this on repeat for like a cooldown, like what I said just now with the animation thing, then it's just gonna repeat 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's not gonna be a single value, which sucks. So this is another usage of the /return command, and actually, yeah, that is basically it. So in short, /return can be used to kind of debug your functions to get the value of what it's supposed to be, and you can also use /return to prematurely stop a function if you don't want the more code to be executed beneath it, because it might, clash with the thing that you're about to set up. So /return, it is actually a very helpful command. So yeah, that's about it. Bye bye.